Welcome to NEK-TV Rocks, and my guests today are from Green Mountain Farm to School program, and you are?
Elise Parambo, the Farm to School Program Manager.
And I'm Hillary Rosa. I'm the Food Access and Logistics Coordinator.
So, I last did a show with somebody from your program probably 7 years ago, which is horrifying actually. A lot's changed. You were just moving into that gorgeous building, and in fact it was still being renovated. So now you're pretty well established right on 2nd Street.
Yeah, it is a beautiful building.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
What a fabulous investment, and what a benefit from the town, because that building was a wreck.
Oh.
And neither of you were probably here then.
No.
So those of us who live here sort of watched the renovation, and it was, oh wow, whatever this program is, it's got to be great, because they've done such a beautiful job with that old building. So what are some of the programs you have now?
I think one of the big changes that's happened since then is we've really expanded like our food access work, especially, during COVID. We served as a hub for the Vermont Everyone Eats program. And
where is that program based?
So that program is discontinued. It was an emergency response during COVID, and it involved, working with local restaurants and retailers to produce prepared meals. And there's been a second iteration of that program last summer after the flooding happened. There was a second iteration called Vermont Emergency Eats. And we served as a hub for that as well. But I think that's when our food access, our expansion into the more of a food access role really happened.
So if people need to access food, and that's not uncommon up here, how do they do that?
So our food access work is really always through a lens of local food and education. So we're not, we don't have a food pantry. We work with food pantries, and we work with school backpack programs, but we're really always working to promote local food, local growers, and to educate and empower people to eat healthier. And so, we do workshops, we do like healthy food demonstrations.
You have that bicycle that generates heat,
the smoothie
generates
bike.
power.
Well,
makes smoothies.
It makes smoothies, the pedaling,
I bet you every
turns
kid
the
in
blender.
Newport knows that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. That bike is getting a little rickety. But it's fun. Yeah, it's always fun.
It is. I love seeing the kids lining up to climb on,
Yeah.
pedal like crazy to get a smoothie at the end of it. I know that you go into some of the schools. Just locally, or do you do more in the kingdom other than Newport?
Elise?
So we're working right now with over 17 different schools. We have a team of 4 AmeriCorps members, and currently in the past year they were implementing the Farm to School program in 14 schools across the Northeast Kingdom. We range from Craftsbury to Brighton, Derby, out to Troy, Lowell, so we're really serving as much as we can across the Northeast Kingdom.
That's an enormous area.
And then with through support with After School right now, we're actually in Sutton and Linden Town, and we're helping with putting gardens in with the kids. So we have quite a reach. We have the AmeriCorps team traveling around to help bring in the program, and when they're serving a full Farm to School program, the AmeriCorps member is going to the school, working in the school garden with the kids, harvesting in the fall, cooking classes with the kids throughout the year, different unit lessons based on food systems education, working with the kids to start seeds, put the gardens in, and then caring for the gardens through the summer, working with community volunteers to care for it. And
Do
then
all the schools have gardens?
all of those 17 that we're working with,
Wow.
yes. And then the wonderful connection that we have with the Lunchbox program is we have a special program called the Market Basket. And so as you know, school gardens, many schools are out, or the
Yeah,
school...
the food doesn't grow until the kids are gone.
So
So unfair.
we collect up the food from different school gardens
Yeah.
and bring it to the Market Basket, which is at the lunch basket or the lunchbox, and
Yeah.
that's available for families to come up and be able to take.
And just
Anyone in the community
take it.
just take it and be able to use it.
That's
And we-
really nice.
And we work with schools. Some communities have asked to kind of keep it in town, and so we work with them to try and
Sure.
see, how we can get it out in their community if that's what they've asked for. And then in the time frame, if the lunchbox isn't running, then we try and get it to the different food shelves.
So you maintain the gardens when the kids are off for the break. That's a lot of work. So you have garden patches everywhere.
But yeah. And right now it's the big planting season, so
Yeah, tell me about it. We sort of reconnected because we each have plots over at Bluffside Farm. So it's the big gardening season for all of us. So do you supply the lunchbox as well with the food that you grow, or is it just a separate program?
You mean the lunchbox, the meals that are actually
Yeah.
going out through the lunchbox? Sometimes our cook will incorporate some leftover, veggies into the next meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, the lunchbox is probably a program that a lot of people here know about, but can you just sort of remind them?
Yeah, so the Lunchbox is our free summer meals program where kids 18 and under can get a free meal. And the goal of the program is really to close that nutrition gap when school is out of session. We also have adult meals available for purchase. And those actually, some people may not know, but those meals actually help support the lunchbox. So it's a food truck, and then
Yeah.
we also have usually an enrichment activity going on adjacent to the food truck, and it'll be some sort of arts and crafts project or a taste test or some educational project to teach kids about food and agriculture. Yeah.
Yeah, and is it still going to be on Thursdays in Newport?
Yep, Thursdays in Newport, Tuesdays in Irisburg,
Uh-huh.
and Wednesdays in Barton.
what time?
Where are you Mondays and Fridays?
Planning, preparing,
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
yeah.
So if somebody had access to transportation, they could go to all three of those towns?
Yeah,
That's really nice.
yeah. Yeah, I do see some people who at all three. So
Yeah.
it's a really fun environment. It's very, stigma-free. It brings together people from, we don't collect any information. It's an open site. Anyone is welcome. So it really brings together people from different walks of life and around food and sharing food.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool because I record on Thursdays. I very often am driving past there on my way back home as everybody's piling in, and you sort of see this really splashy, bright, very attractive van and the setup next to it and all the kids pouring in.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's also so great, the educational component where you're teaching about the value of food and the pleasure of growing your own food.
Yeah.
Because I think we lost that somewhere along the way.
Yeah, and with the market basket, we try to set it up so it's very, aesthetically pleasing. It looks like a farmer's market. We have recipes for the different crops that we're providing. We have taste tests to expose kids to new foods, and that's really fun for me because a lot of times they're like, I don't know about that, but then they try it and and then sometimes they actually like it, and then I'll hear the following week from the parents that, oh, now we're making this food at home because we liked it and it's here, it's available through the market basket. And
right.
Yeah.
Did you both grow up in families where food was grown?
No.
So it's new to you too.
Yeah, it's this. I come from a culinary background. I worked in restaurants for a lot of years, and so I have this love of food. But I also saw a lot of issues with the food system, and wanted to get more into food systems work, and really just want to help people, empower people to eat well.
Right. So you certainly found a way in. And do you grow your own garden now?
Yeah, I'm starting to. It's not, it's a work in progress.
When a program is really successful when you get hooked too.
Yeah.
What about you?
When I was much younger, our family struggled, and the garden was a source of nourishment for us as kids. As I moved into kind of early elementary years, we moved, and the garden didn't move with us. But I always kind of connected. I had an aunt and uncle with a farm, and I always saw the substance and connection to it, and loved the ability to be connected to the land and have fresh produce. And I always kind of imagined my aunt and uncle's life with that connection to the land and the animals and the food being such a beautiful connection, and kind of inspired me as I grew up. I now have a small homestead, and I came into it kind of through the environmental science biology lens and working with environmental education with youth. And really when I came to Vermont, I've been here about 11 years up in northern Vermont, I saw that there was such a need to connect with the youth and connect not only with what's going on with the world, but the connection to the land. And I really saw through the lens of agriculture that the students were able to not only learn how to nourish themselves, but also learn about the wider aspects of the world and understand kind of early science connections and biological connections.
Yeah.
But also nourish themselves, because I think for kids to be ready to be open learners, they need to have all their needs met. And then how empowering for youth to not only be fed and nourished, but then know how to nourish themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to know that you can be self-sustaining is really valuable.
And then how to cook different foods too. I think there's been a shift in the way cooking had happened. The scratch cooking is starting to come back, and that really opens up all different flavors and textures and tastes, and empowering kids on.
We got so suckered by industries into convenience. Everything was going to be pre-sanitized, pre-cooked, pre-everything, and it all tasted generally boring unless they added a ton of stuff to it. And really, do you need to enhance your life with chemicals in that way? Probably not. I mean, the pleasure of picking a tomato and eating it straight off the vine.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive, because I would prefer a salt shaker in the veggie patch too. But.
And I think too, with growing and giving back to the community and cooking for a greater community, creating that connection for youth, bringing them back to their community. There's been, especially through COVID, a little bit more of a disjointing, and bringing that larger lens back to youth and that empowerment, especially as they get a little bit older. Not only can they work at the school and grow food, or help with the school and grow food, or learn to cook, then they can take those skills and make something that can go out to the bigger community, helping others in the community. And that can have such a strong impact for the youth, really feeling that they're making a difference in their community, creating connections in their community.
And you guys are planning an event at Bluffside Farm next week?
Yep.
Week on Saturday.
Sunday, June 9th.
Sunday? Sunday.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's a community planting event. We're partnering with the Department of Health, and Newport Head Start, and we're all going to be there together planting our plots at the same time. We'll have a couple master gardeners to answer questions about gardening. We'll have some free seeds and some starts and some other gardening resources for people to take home if they want. We'll have a craft for the kids. And yeah, the purpose of that event is really to, get people who are interested in gardening but may not know like where to start, or maybe they don't have the resources, and to just invite them into this space, that's really for the community,
Right.
and empower them to grow their own food.
So if people come to that event, can they stay involved with that particular patch of garden?
We were asking people if they might be interested in helping at the school gardens.
Yeah.
Kind of the way we work it is if you're willing to go
Yeah.
volunteer out. There's certain things that we do ask, please leave for the
Sure.
students, because we want to make sure it's there for them to harvest in the fall. But there's other things where it's if you're willing to come and help at a school garden, then you're welcome to harvest what's
Yeah.
up and fresh.
Bluffside Farm is such a wonderful
Yeah.
community resource anyway. And the garden it's been in existence now for 3 years, and watching it grow, it's sort of really exciting.
And we're hoping last year, Hillary can speak more to it, but all the produce from the Green Mountain Farm to School plot was used for food security, and that's kind of the goal again this year.
That's great.
But
Yeah.
Hillary can speak more to what was done
Yeah.
with the produce.
Yeah, so last year we made a few different batches of soup using that produce at Bluffside, and that was distributed at NEK-TV Food
Yeah.
Shelf and the Holland Food Shelf, and that was a really just nice project. And yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to plug that harvest
Right.
into feeding community, whether it's through the market basket or community meals, or making something. Maybe we get a group of volunteers together and make something for the food shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, because the garden, and your plot is towards the edge, right? So there's a beautifully grassed area with tables and umbrellas now. I mean, it's pretty nice,
Yeah. Yeah, that is nice.
as well as access to everything else on the farm and on that bike path, the recreation path. It's wonderful. Such a great resource. And to be able to connect that with what's there and growing on the land feels so great. So you're the one who's going to be working there?
Yes, I will be there. The Department of Health will be there. Newport Head Start will be there, and a couple of master gardeners.
And are you also going to be part of the group that does the day-to-day watering and weeding?
Yeah, I'll probably spend quite a bit of time over there this summer.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice place. That's a nice place to say, this is my day job.
Yeah.
I like that.
We're also excited to be bringing in an intern that will be focusing on supporting the Bluffside Garden for food security for the community, and also working with Hillary with the lunchbox.
Yeah.
So it's really
Yeah.
excited to be bringing in a young, energetic college student with a career for
Right.
food systems and get them exposed to all the different
So if
aspects.
people want to know more about that part of your program, can they just show up at Bluffside Farm, or is it better for them to contact you first?
Show up to the
To the event of the garden. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
can
anyone.
just show up.
Anyone can come.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do you have going on? I mean, not that you don't have clearly every minute of your time filled now.
Well, we did just get this vision grant. That's very exciting. Last year we piloted an after-school cooking program with 6th to 8th graders at Orleans, and we met once a week and we made a meal that was distributed through the Orleans food shelf. And we just got funding to expand on that program and roll it out to 4 different schools over the next 2 years. So that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love cooking with kids who are, they're at that age too. They're funny.
And they're fearless too.
Yeah.
Well, of course I can mix this with this,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah, and I like seeing how their attitudes change throughout the course of meeting together, and how open they become to trying new things, and yeah.
So where is that program operating? Where are you going to be doing those groups, classes, whatever you want to call them?
So we're going to be doing that in Troy, Glover, Charleston, Brighton.
That's really an underserved area. I mean, we talk up here about how underserved we are, but it's hard to get out there. It's a small community. It's really spread out. And there are very few resources there. So it's really cool that you guys have got involved there.
And that's one of the things this summer we're looking at Brighton. And kind of the thought was we're taking the food from Brighton to the lunchbox, so we need to keep it in that community. So that AmeriCorps member is working with the local food shelves and trying to keep it all in that community. And a lot of times too, sometimes we'll kind of have some spots where we put stuff out so the parents picking up from summer camp know here's like you can grab it table.
So what exactly do you have operating in Brighton?
So in Brighton, we have a farm to school program happening with the school garden, and the produce from that school garden we're trying to keep at that community.
And you'll do cooking classes there, cook with the kids.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, that's not scheduled yet, but it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. And your program has expanded a lot. The global part of your program has expanded a lot since you began. Do you have ideas for how you're going to expand further? Because the rest of the Northeast Kingdom could really use you.
We have, I know Elise has been in touch with people in Canaan schools and St. Johnsbury. So there's interest in expanding farm to school. It's hard to get, especially it's hard to get into Canaan.
So if you're heading from Island Pond, Brighton, to Canaan, there's a little town called Norton in the middle of there that nobody seems to even know exists. It would be really cool if you could reach there. And of course everywhere else, I can come up with all these plans for you.
Yeah, I know, there's so much work and there's not enough staff capacity.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of time and it's a lot of travel, which I think is one of the hard pieces, because when you have to factor in a lot of travel for your job, it sort of makes it more challenging.
Yeah.
And we've definitely had the growth with, we started off as farm to school programming, and then we moved into a food hub. So we're able to support the local farmers and local purchasing, and with Hillary's position, addressing more food insecurity, there has been quite a bit of growth. So we're just trying to grow to meet the needs as much as we're able.
Yeah, and as our population grows, the needs grow, so it's catch up all the time. There was recently a big event up at J. I presume you were part of that, right?
Taste of the Kingdom?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, yes, we sponsored that. That was a great event. Our development manager, Rose, did an excellent job. We had like 18 vendors, I think, and almost 200 people showed up.
And it was kind of celebrating the different farmers that Farm Direct works with that were interested and participating that came and brought samples of their products so people could come and learn more about the different farms and get a chance to taste it.
And they learn more about you. Yeah, it's really neat that Jay hosts that, because that was something, again, that started really small, sort of on the streets, and it's now neat that it's become a big thing. And I presume it's also a fundraiser.
We have a silent auction.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun gathering for folks, especially we didn't do it for a little bit with COVID, so this is the first time coming back after COVID, and it really felt like a fun celebration of everyone coming together again that hadn't seen each other for a while.
Yeah, COVID didn't do us any favors. Anyway, I mean, even getting people to come back into places and to mingle and feel good about it, particularly a food tasting event, 'cause you can't be masked for that. How do you eat? I actually had hoped to go to that event this year and wasn't able to, because you've only got to mention food, and a lot of us going, yeah, did you mention food?
What I enjoyed about that event, it highlights a lot of local producers that we work with, so our food hub has grown immensely over the past couple of years. And that's another aspect of my job is supporting our food hub. And what was fun for me about that event is meeting the producers that we work with, like meeting them face to face, because I've emailed with them and been on the phone with them, but it's
not the same, is it?
No, it's nice to actually put a face to the name and to the products that we see in the grocery store.
Yeah, we all, quote, did our best with things like Zoom and emails when we couldn't meet face to face, but it doesn't do it in the same way. And for you trying to do your job working with kids, I don't know how you could even begin to do it with Zoom.
Through that time, it was definitely a tricky time with all the kids that went remote. And the farm to school team worked to make little videos and worked with teachers to try and meet some of the curriculum needs, and kept on putting the gardens in and taking care of the gardens, waiting for that day when the kids came back. And eventually they did come back. It was wonderful to have students back in and start having the garden space available, starting to be able to do workshops with kids. And it took a little while for things to kind of come back, but I feel like they have fully come back now, and it's really a wonderful time. Farms have opened back up.
Yes.
All the cooking programs, and I think some of that hesitation around cooking and eating in spaces like schools or out in public has definitely gone away. We're kind of back to the...
Oh yeah, there's a lot of energy now. People want it now. They want it. They want to get together. They want to eat together. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good that we're no longer frightened of each other, and we're not frightened of a bit of dirt in the ground and on the food that we eat.
And I'm excited just for the ability to get the kids out to more farms. I feel like it's nice having that opportunity, and the Department of Agriculture kind of helped facilitate a little bit of that. They have changed some laws in the last few years. One kind of makes it a little bit more, if your farm is opening for education or public activities, there's some signs you can put out that will then alleviate any issues for liability. So I think that also was one step that moved the bar forward across the state for all farms feeling a little more comfortable opening up for a field trip.
Is it a mandate to open farms up for education or a choice?
It is 100% a choice.
Cool.
But I think some of the hesitation for some farms was just worry
Yeah.
about liability. So
I'm sure.
the state kind of opened this up so that people felt a little more comfortable.
Is that a I mean, that sounds wonderful. Is that a program that you're going to be involved in, or are the schools the ones who are supposed to initiate the contact?
As part of our farm to school program, sometimes the school will say, hey, we'd like to go to a dairy farm, and so we'll look around the local farms and contact and find out who will be open to it, and we'll work with the farmers to kind of set up the plan for the day and let the school know and kind of make sure that all the needs of the school are met too.
That's great. And obviously we're a rural area, so there are so many farms to choose from and so many different ways of farming.
And sometimes that's the fun part, because you can also
Yeah.
go to a farm and talk about a different style of farming, so it kind of opens the conversation.
Yeah. Do you have any contact with Sterling College?
Yeah, we work with Sterling College.
They
do?
just visited the
Yeah.
food hub last week.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago they came to visit our food hub and learn about what we do. I feel like our food hub is such an important part of what we do, and maybe one of the lesser known or understood aspects of Green Mountain Farm to School. It's a huge part of what we do. Green Mountain Farm Direct is
Yeah.
a program of Green Mountain Farm to School, and we are a wholesale distributor, and we work with over 50 producers, food producers and farmers throughout the state of Vermont, with a large focus on producers in the Northeast Kingdom. And we sell their products to schools and hospitals and other institutions and small retailers throughout the NEK. And this past year, there was a statewide initiative called Local Food for Schools.
Is it all local produce?
Yes.
And my next, really, is it just wholesale, or is this something that's open to individuals?
So yeah, we just do wholesale,
Yeah.
and our focus is largely on getting more local food into schools, into
Yeah.
school cafeterias.
Yeah.
But we also work with a lot of small retailers. So we work with the natural food store,
Yeah.
a lot of these smaller co-ops that are scattered about the NEK. We work with a lot of them to sell local products.
Where is this physically located?
So the warehouse is in Hardwick.
Yeah.
It's at the Center for Agricultural Economy, and we partner with Farm Connects, does all of our
Yeah.
aggregation and distribution. But on our end, we manage the customer and producer relationships. We manage the sales. We host the ordering platform. We manage all the accounts, and we do a lot of marketing support for our partner producers.
This has grown from something that was just a germ of an idea about 4 years ago, pre-COVID,
Yeah,
and really taken off. It's fabulous.
yeah,
And it's wonderful too, because it supports, we do Harvest of the Month in the different schools.
Yeah.
And so across the state of Vermont, each month there's a certain vegetable that's highlighted, or produce. For instance, right now, May is eggs. So having the local food hub
Yeah.
connected, we're supporting all the different schools. So we usually try and work throughout the year to line up the Harvest of the Month and offer a little bit more of a discount to the schools for that. So trying to help support getting schools kind of exposed to different produce throughout the year.
And so beneficial to the whole of the region. I mean, it's powerful. It really is.
And I can speak, before I came to Green Mountain Farm to School as a farmer, one of the huge challenges was trying to find how to sell my products.
Right.
And there's so many great farmers out there just they've got their product, trying to
Struggling,
figure out
right.
where to get it. And it's such a wonderful resource that the Food Hub exists, that then
Yeah.
partner with these different farms, help keep them viable, keep them going.
Do you have a size of the farms, or all sizes work? So, for example, there's several small farms that sell at our local farmers market, and occasionally they'll go to Green Mountain Natural Foods and a couple of others. But it's a challenge when they have a glut of produce, how to sell it. Could they connect with you?
yeah. We onboard new producers frequently. We really are trying to fill gaps in our product list. So there's a lot of considerations like price point, location, how far are they from a route, how unique is their product, is it going to sell, is it going to compete with this other product that we have. So, but yeah, we're always onboarding new producers.
Cool. Do people know, quote, where the gaps are, so that if they were looking to shift their own business model, that they would know what's needed?
I mean, they could look to our website, which has all of our products.
Yeah, that's a challenging way of doing it, though. I mean, you know where the gaps are. You know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And to be able to fill that niche requires a lot of planning for a farmer. For example, if you needed goat milk, for example, then somebody who's thinking about keeping goats has to have a several week cycle, month cycle, before they can produce milk, as you know, to then meet your market need. But that would be something they could plan a year ahead, which is what they would have to do.
I don't know if they would plan their operation around.
Because your gap might not be there.
Yeah, I think when we have a gap, we do some research and try to find a producer that is producing that thing. And I will say there's a gap. There's a need for a baker, a wholesale baker.
Huh. I know there's several bakers in this area.
Really? Like a wholesale, like...
Well, I don't know about the wholesale piece, but there's certainly small bakers. There's one in Barton, for example. The tasting center here has one. There's somebody in Jay who bakes. She used to be at the tasting center on Main Street. So there are certainly people who have those skills.
Yeah.
And can produce. I don't know what level of production you need, but I know a couple of people you can talk to.
Okay, yeah. Put us in touch.
Yeah. We are about out of time. It's not hard to fill the time, is it?
I don't.
This is actually really exciting because you who are working with the program are sort of so accustomed to what's there and how it's evolved. But we're not. I mean, the hub is really exciting because I knew it had been a germ of an idea, but I didn't know it had grown to the extent that it has. I know that the gardens were a small part of your program, and now that they're 17, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a lot of kids that you're able to reach and to influence in the Vermont way. And that's a big deal up here, not to lose what Vermont has. And yet you're creating that for families who had lost it.
We have a small, dedicated, hardworking team. I know at our staff retreat this spring with our board, we were overviewing the food hub, the food insecurity work, the schools work, and then we looked around the table and it was like, there's a lot of work going on coming from this small, dedicated group of folks that are really bringing it forward. And trying to continue to meet the needs of the community and support the community.
Some real far-sighted and imaginative people up here. And that's great. So thank you both so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
We'll do it again. It'll be much easier next time, I promise. Thank you.